Okay, first of all, the reason that my review of UFC 274 is coming a bit later is because people of MMA, or fans of MMA and fans of boxing, will know they do have these moments in the fight community where they don't really think about stuff, and they put on the Canelo and Bivol fight basically at the same time as the Namajunas and Carla Esparza fight. So I wasn't really able to watch that fight properly or fully, so I figured it'd be better if I watched it now and then do a review now after that I've watched it. So I watched it the day after and I regret doing so, but that's basically the reason. But yeah, UFC 274, there was a pretty solid card. Some decent fights here and there, nothing too spectacular. The lightweight fights in particular were very, very entertaining, and I think the some of the other early premium fights were decent. But like I say for my UFC previews, I always focus on the main ones. So focusing on the main card and the main fights on that card, obviously we had the Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson, Rose versus Carlos Esparza, and Oliveira versus Gaethje. Like I said, the Oliveira Gaethje fight was entertaining. So was the Chandler and Ferguson. Both ended in stoppages. The Esparza and Namajunas fight was a monstrosity, but like I said, we'll get to that. So starting off with the Tony Ferguson and Michael Chandler fight. Now I predicted Michael Chandler to KO Tony Ferguson in round one, and I was one round off and I got it almost correct. I mean, I did get it correct, but I figured it wouldn't be from a front kick. So in the first round, to his credit, Tony Ferguson did well. He was picking him apart a little bit at range. He dropped him, and I was thinking, maybe we could see a revival of Elko Kubu. Chandler took him down, but Ferguson even then was still lighting him up with elbows at the bottom. He does that better than anybody, Tony Ferguson. So yeah, it was a really great, good opening round for Ferguson. Looked good on the feet, clipped him with the right hand a couple of times, and I was thinking it might be a bit of a long night for Chandler. But in the second round, and also Tony Ferguson did a good job, I think, also going at the calf and the leg kicks. Chandler is very, very heavy on that lead leg, so he's obviously always open to the leg kicks. That's why I think Oliveira was able to drop him, if you remember, in their fight with the calf kick, and obviously Chandler, Gaethje even did damage to Chandler in that way. So yeah, good game plan from Ferguson, but literally, and his eye was swollen up, and I thought he might be in trouble, but literally out of nowhere, Chandler comes up with a front kick from hell and just KOs Ferguson out cold. First time in his career. He got stopped by Justin Gaethje, but that was a prolonged beatdown. This was a one out of nowhere front kick, and it reminded me a little bit of Anderson Silva's front kick, but I mean, there have been a few good ones in the UFC, but there's just the way Chandler just brought his foot up was absolutely, it was like he volleyed his head, basically. Obviously Anderson Silva had the front kick against Vitor Belfort, but that was more precise and more of a snap kick. This was like he got power on it, and he just killed him cold. And it's a shame Ferguson was doing really well in the fight, but I thought he would lose though, Tony. I did say that I figured that it's just, I don't know, he kind of, when fighters go on this downward spiral, it's very rare that they can pick it back up. Reminded me a little bit of Woodley and Luke Hay, the way Woodley did really well against Luke Hay, was lighting him up, swinging forward like a lunatic in the first round, or first minute of the round, and then he essentially got caught, and that was the end of it. And the same thing was happening to Ferguson. He was doing good, but Chandler was able to sort of knock him out cold. And yeah, a great promo from Chandler as well at the end of the fight, calling out Conor McGregor, saying that he wants to fight for the belt, but yeah, I think that was just him speaking. He knows he don't deserve that shot. But a great performance, and he was saying at 170 against McGregor, which Chandler is a very big 55. So I would like to see that. I think Conor needs this. To me, whoever won this fight should have fought Conor, and I think that should still be the case. But yeah, a great win for Michael Chandler though, and he produces him. For Tony now, should he retire? I don't really know what's next for him now. There isn't anything that really sticks out to me. So yeah, I think maybe he needs to think about his career a bit, because you don't want to take too much damage. I always said the good thing about him after the Gaethje fight is he fought grapplers, but now you saw what happened. He fought a big explosive striker and he got put out cold. So yeah, it was a longer, hard one for Tony Ferguson. But he's had a good career. He's done a lot of good things. But yeah, I think we obviously seen it's coming to a close here. But yeah, Chandler, McGregor next, and yeah, a great victory from Michael Chandler. And I do like his promos. They're very full of energy, and it's always I always think I'm not really a fan of the theatrics in the fight game in general, but I like what he did as a good promo. So yeah, great one from Chandler. And then going on to the co-main event, the one I didn't get to watch because I watched the Canelo and Bill fight, and evidently I made the right decision. So obviously Carlos Esparza defeated Rose Namajunas via, I think it was a split decision over 5 rounds. And what the hell was this fight? So I heard it was bad on Twitter and all that stuff, but I didn't watch it, so I really want to know how bad it was. And people were saying it was worse than like the Romero Adesanya fight, and I thought it can't be that bad. Watching it, it was horrendous. There was literally nothing. This fight was the weirdest fight ever, because they should have both lost this fight, you know. But I'm happy that Rose lost, because she was so confident that she won, and it kind of annoyed me a little bit. You clearly lost the fight, but you acting like you were fantastic. It didn't make any sense to me. So, I got the strikes here. I don't know. I'm not even sure these strikes are correct. Apparently, in total, Rose landed 38 and she landed 37 significant strikes. Carla landed 30 and landed 30 significant strikes. 30 strikes, significant strikes. 1 takedown for Rose and 2 for Carla. 10 seconds of control time for Rose and 22 seconds for Carla. I think the only reason she got the decision of Esparza because she did sort of go for takedowns here and there, and that's probably why you give it her, and she had like little shots with the leg kick. Again, it was bad. It was like, it was just a masterclass in, it wasn't even it was just a weird feinting match. Like, there's nothing to it, and I feel like in MMA, some fighters, they don't really get the point of feinting. The point of feinting is that you set up other things, not just to do it for the sake of it. And the skill level at times can be, this is why MMA is such a great sport for me. There's still so much learning to do, because it was a horrendous fight, man. And this is essentially the peak of women's MMA, supposedly. But you kind of see, we saw the other week, though, in women's boxing with Serrano and Kate Taylor, an unbelievable fight, a war going back and forth. And here's the opposite. So it was bad. And, you know, in the first round, nothing was really happening. They both just started feinting each other, nothing too much. Same with round 2. Esparza in the 5 rounds landed a few takedowns here and there. She went for him, and I think that's why she got it, because she actually went for it. But I don't know. And Rose is calling as well with Pat Berry and Trevor Whitman. Trevor Whitman was kind of telling her to be a bit more active, and Pat was kind of loving what she was doing. I don't understand it. Yeah, it was a terrible fight, and like I said, I'm happy the boos were bad, because I don't really like fighters getting booed, but genuinely they were terrible. It was such a dull fight, and the worst title fight I have ever seen. It might actually be the worst fight, because it was actually longer than more. Like, Ngannou and Lewis was bad, but that was 3 rounds at least, so we only had so much. But this was 5 rounds of just nothing, and it was so poor. And again, they just fainted with each other. It was like they were literally lying like 2 punches around between the pair of them. Nothing was even happening. It was bad. It was really bad. But yeah, Esparza wins, I guess, and I don't really know what to think of what's going to happen next now, but I don't really care. These two would put a terrible fight, and they're both going to have to do something big in the next fight to really make up for it, because I don't think anybody wants to see this again. It would genuinely be they would need to put it on an amazing pay-per-view in order for people to buy. If you had maybe, you got Adesanya versus Cannonier, they announced, and Holloway and Volkanovski in the co-main, it's not going to be on that because it's too soon, but if they put on a pay-per-view like that, that's maybe the only way. But I don't want to see Rose get a rematch. I don't want to see nothing. It was a terrible fight. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Horrendous. Worst fight that I've ever watched. They just fainted. They just looked at each other for 5 rounds. I don't know. It wasn't good. But yeah, Esparza won. I'm kind of happy, I guess. She's somewhat likeable, even though she didn't deserve to win. They both deserve to lose. They should just strip the belt. Terrible fight. But, yeah, I don't know. For Esparza, it's a nice story, I guess, but I wasn't pleased. I don't think many people were, so yeah. Weird fight. But we move. I think I predicted Rose to win the fight as well. I thought Rose would do a lot more in this fight, but she just again, just stood there, fainted, moved down the octagon. Just nothing was happening. So, yeah, disappointing. Co-main. But then you had the main event with Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje, which was the complete opposite of that in a way. I predicted Gaethje to win because my logic was, I know Oliveira is much better on the ground. I know he's, like I said, I think it's in my preview, he's a much more well-rounded martial artist, but I just figured he gets dropped every single fight, and there's going to be a fighter who I felt will eventually expose that, and it won't always work with everybody, and that kind of was my thought process going into it. That, you know, you can't just get dropped every fight and win. Eventually, someone's going to figure out. But evidently, you can, because same thing happened again. Obviously, Oliveira won via rear naked choke. It was a great start. Oliveira actually hurt Gaethje quite early on with the right hand. Gaethje's legs wobbled a bit. Gaethje has a weird chin. He can take a lot of shots, but he always gets wobbled. It feels like from every single strike, so it's a bit weird. And then Gaethje started lighting him up. Landed a few big shots. Somewhat dropped him. I think he dropped him twice, actually, if I can't remember correctly. But Oliveira's weird, though. Sometimes he's a bit weird, because even if you do drop him, he's got the thing of his jiu-jitsu, which kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes you nervous to go down there. And, yeah, Gaethje was beating the legs up, but Oliveira, you know, he's tough, like I said, and he survived that. He then dropped Gaethje with a beautiful right hand. Oliveira, I didn't say actually, Oliveira's striking, I actually think is so just beautiful to watch, because I feel like watching Oliveira strike, everything is so straight with the punches that he throws, and there's nothing that, it's no like sloppy technique in there. It's all very, very clean, and it's one of the things I do enjoy watching with Justin Gaethje. I think with Charles Oliveira, I think, you know, the knees he throws, the teep kicks, the elbows, when he steps in with them, everything is just, it's a little bit like watching, not the same, but it's kind of like watching Kamaru Usman at times, and because Usman's straight punches are really nice as well, the jab especially. But yeah, Oliveira, though, he got dropped. The amount of times he would, you know, want Gaethje to come down with him, but he would just get back up. But yeah, Gaethje though as well. I thought Gaethje, he fought exactly how he used to fight when he wasn't like trying to be the smart fighter, but he fought like a complete madman, like he always does, and that isn't, like we say, that ain't going to make him a champion. And I don't know if he fights for the belt again after, to be honest, unless he puts a crazy win streak together, which is possible. He's a good fighter, but I don't know, he needs to up his ground game, especially because his jiu-jitsu is just non-existent, feels like. His wrestling is supposed to be good, and we haven't really seen it tested. But yeah, it was crazy. And yeah, in the fight, obviously, Gaethje dropped him, he got back up. Oliveira, it was kind of a delay reaction. It almost feels like he waited for him because he wanted to come down. But then, obviously, not long after, Gaethje, again, he was winging punches, Gaethje, but then he got caught with a beautiful straight right and dropped him, and Oliveira jumped on him. He had, at one point, an inverted triangle, and Gaethje did well, but then Gaethje did the one thing you don't do with Oliveira. He gave him his back, and once he gave you his back and he gets it on, there's only one thing that's going to happen. And I got to say, how good is Michael Chandler for somehow surviving when Oliveira was on his back? It's just, I do wonder how he survived that, because he is amazing, Michael Chandler, if you look at it in hindsight. But yeah, incredible performance stuff from Charles Oliveira. And once again, he gets dropped, but he's tough. You know, I think it was the uppercut that dropped him in the fight, but he's a tough guy, Oliveira, and I think it's that sort of what has helped him through. He had a lot of losses in his career, but he's still coming forward, and he's comfortably the best 155 out there at the moment. Him and Makhachev, I think, is such an intriguing fight, but at the moment, Oliveira is the champion, even though they're going to vacate it and then have him fight for it again and all that kind of stuff, because he missed weight by half a pound, even though he was off, he didn't make weight. An hour later, he was still the same weight. I don't understand how that happens, but it is what it is. He's in the champion now, I guess, but still, even if he beats Makhachev and gets the battle again, he will be known as the champ. So I don't think people can really question it. Oliveira is 100% the champion. A great fighter. Again, he's just a nightmare to fight. How do you beat him on the feet? He's getting better on the ground. He's just a nightmare. There's no real easy place for him to rest against him. So I don't know. It's weird. He's a nightmare. But even Makhachev is so interesting, especially because he would essentially equal Khabib's record if he beats Makhachev. But at the same time, when you look at that, he'd be fighting Khabib's protege. He would then have Khabib also in Makhachev's corner. It would be so. It's the narrative is so interesting. So I love that fight. I hope they make that next. And yeah, and then a really good fight though, good for main event. And also Oliveira's finished now. Gaethje and Poirier and Michael Chandler doesn't get talked about. Both all in pretty like Chandler we got in the second round, Gaethje in the first, Poirier in the third. He's kind of going in a weird order, but an incredible fighter is Charles Oliveira, and it's his time at the moment. And be hard to see who beats him. I think if Makhachev doesn't beat him, I honestly don't know who does, because at this point we run out of opponents, and even then, Oliveira, I really rate Oliveira. He's such a great fighter. I genuinely think he's brilliant, but I don't know. I still kind of favour Makhachev. It's weird. He's definitely the champion. I don't care what that thing says. Everybody knows who the champion is, and Oliveira is an absolute beast. And man, such a great fighter. Just so entertaining to watch as well. He's never really in any boring fights. So yeah, incredible. Yeah, I think him and Makhachev next. For Gaethje, I think maybe Poirier fight or something like that, or just maybe another contender in the division. He'll still be in and around Gaethje. I don't think he's old, so... Actually, how old is Justin Gaethje? I don't think he's old by any means. I think he might be 32, if I'm guessing, but I could be wrong about this. He is 33, so like I said, not far off. Yeah, he's not old. He can come back. I just don't know whether he'll be a champion or fight for the belt again, but... Still an incredible thing, and he's also, he's accused Oliveira of being a quitter, but Oliveira showed he ain't a quitter. He comes in there and made Gaethje, I won't say quit, but made him tap. So, yeah, amazing fight, though, while it lasted. And Oliveira, absolute beast. Should be up there in the pound for pound rankings, in my opinion. I say he's probably just behind the likes of Usman, Adesanya, and Volkanovski because of their title defenses, but we got some great champions at the moment in the UFC, guys who aren't just lucky, who they are there because they earned it, they put in the years, and they're all really well rounded. So a great, I think it's a good time at the moment for the UFC and some of these champions. But yeah, a great fight. And just my recap of UFC 274. Again, decent card, not unbelievable, but fairly decent, and some great fights with the lightweights. Some lackluster ones. Let's not talk about the co-main event again. And yeah, an interesting 10 events. They announced that, obviously, like I said, the Adesanya, Cannonier, and Holloway, Volkanovski are going to be in the same card, so that's going to be an incredible pay-per-view. But yeah, like I said, just my review. And yeah, until next time.